Hey fellow garden gnomes, welcome back to my channel. This is Brittany. I'm in Northern New Brunswick and it is currently the end of July and my garlic is ready to be harvested. I have two varieties growing in my garden called Dugansky and Creme de la Raza, and they come from I believe it's Rasa Creek Farms, although I'll put the title down here just for sure. But I believe it's either in BC or Alberta. Again, I'll put it in the text. Their whole thing is just breeding different varieties of garlic. So there's so many cool ones that you can choose from. So I'll start with the Dugansky variety. I did remove the scapes several weeks ago, but I guess I must have missed one or two. Also, I really should have harvested these a bit sooner. Ideally, you just want a couple of the leaves. Like with this one, you want a couple of the leaves to be dead. But some of these other ones here, basically the entire plant is dead. So that, I don't believe that that's ideal. Pulling out a couple weeds. Ooh, that's even bigger. So those are the first two, which are looking really good. And I'm going to, I'll brush them off slightly, but I'll mostly leave the dirt on, because after I'm done harvesting, I'll put these to hang in an area where they will get some good ventilation so that they can cure over the next week or two. So I'll put the different varieties in different piles until I can figure out a good way to separate them, because I'd really like to keep the different varieties separate and labeled so that I can maybe do a few taste tests of them side by side and figure out which one I prefer. Yeah, overall, I remember I pulled one of each variety a week or so ago, and while these Dugansky are decent, I was definitely more impressed with the size of the Creme de la Raza. So I think I'm hopeful that those will be a bit more impressive. But honestly, this is not bad, because in past years, like, I've had my entire garlic crop fail, so at least I'm getting something. I think next year I'm going to be even more frequent with the fertilizer that I do, because I think I only fertilized once or twice here this year, and I think I focused on fertilizer that was high potassium, or no, high phosphorus. Phosphorus is the P in NPK, and K is the K, or potassium is K in the NPK, and I did fertilizer that was high in the P. Thinking that because that's supposed to be a good nutrient for roots, that would be good for a crop like garlic, where ultimately you want the root to develop really well. But I do think that probably more nitrogen would be better. Just getting a couple more weeds out of here. And then I'll have to decide if I have enough time to throw something else in here. Maybe I'll throw in some like lettuce and root vegetable crops just to see. We have maybe 2 months left of growing time. So that is my Dugansky harvest. Let's see if I can get a little closer. Okay, now we'll get to the creme de la race, which once again, here's a scape that I missed. And another, this one, it's another scape that I missed when I was picking scapes. This is kind of cool because it's not often that you get to see the flower of a scape developed, because normally we pick the scapes off before they develop like that. What's interesting is that all of these ones still have some green on them. So it's almost like the Dugansky variety was maybe an earlier variety. Alright, this is what I was talking about in terms of knowing that these would give me larger size. Look at that. Oh my goodness. That's so cool. Oops, I almost threw them in with the Dugansky, but no, I'm gonna throw them down here so that I can keep my varieties separate. Although honestly, I could probably put them both together and I would know the difference because of the size, but still, just to be sure. Okay. So most of these are pretty big, but I did get a small one, so pick out the weeds. It's funny seeing the difference. There's a small one next to a big one. And again, I'm only lightly brushing off the dirt because when they cure, they're fine to cure with the dirt on them. And then once they're cured, I'll peel off the outer skin, which will help get the dirt off. I'm going to leave this lovely Cosmo. And of course that one, I just threw in here because I like to have some biodiversity in my beds. Not that one flower really makes it biodiverse, but you know, the attempt was there. But I like to try and have some biodiversity to get some, you know, good predatory insects in here and kind of build up an ecosystem. I'll go through that with a fork to get more of the stuff left. So that's one bed. Now these, I don't see a label, so I'm going to guess from my memory. I think they're also creme de la race. I believe I got more creme de la race than I did Dugansky. This right here is a climbing rose that I put here. Now looking at the size of these, I'm honestly not sure if these were the Dugansky or creme de la race, but I'll double check. I'll look at what I ordered and then I'll put some text on the screen, but I think they're creme de la race. And again, in my attempt to have some biodiversity, I planted a marigold here, so I'll just leave that. You know, all in all, not bad at all. I think next year I'm going to fertilize more with some nitrogen, and then also really make sure that I harvest at the right time, because I do think that I probably could have harvested these a little bit earlier. I can see, you know, some of the outer edges coming off, and I don't know if that's going to negatively impact their storage. So it'll be a bit of an experiment. So after I'm done this video, I'll bring those in and I'll use some rope to kind of tie them into bunches, and I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do to sort of keep them separate and labeled. But in the meantime, I do have to think about where I'm going to put them to cure, because in order to cure, you want them hanging somewhere that has good ventilation and I think is warm. I think you want it to be maybe not like hot, but you know, a decent temperature. And I'm thinking I'm going to look at the 2-week forecast, see if we have any rain in the forecast, which we haven't actually had a lot of rain in the last week or so. But I'm thinking this, my fruit tunnel that I have here, I might hang them from this metal. I don't know if you can see, but I have, basically this is cattle panel. And I think I'm going to hang them from there. And then that will give me at least a little protection so that if it kind of starts raining, you know, I would probably be able to run out and grab them to bring them inside before they really got that wet. It's a couple days later because I needed to get more twine, but this is the final amount. I have 6 bunches in total hanging. 4 of them are my Creme de la Raza variety, and 2 of them are the Dugansky variety. I just did a count of them. I really should have counted them before I hung them up, but I didn't think of it. But I have about 65, I think anyway, unless I missed a couple, but I should have around 65 cloves here, which is a really good amount, because when I think about it, that gives me a year's, like if I think I'll go through a clove or a head a week, then it'll give me a year's worth plus some to plant this fall, which I'll definitely plant the biggest, or the cloves from the biggest heads, with the idea that they will develop into plants and will give me the biggest heads next year. So that's kind of how we go from year to year, kind of selectively breeding for big heads. So that was my 2025 garden harvest. Thanks for coming along with me, and I'll see you guys in the next video.